Do you feel emotionally connected to your plants? As if in the process of caring for them, they as well are caring for you? What about planty DIYs and thrifting for plant items? If I have your attention, then the Plants by Wade Lee podcast is for you. Join me, plant friends, as we dig deep and experience the magic of plants. Hi, plant friends. Welcome to the 4th season of the Plants by Wade Lee podcast. I'm super excited to have author, and you know her as the Gothic Gardener, but author of the new book called Bloom in Darkness. Chloe Hurst, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Like you had said earlier, I've always wanted to just have a hangout sesh with you. So this is the perfect opportunity to get to know you more.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. Like we just said, I wanted to hang out with you, so this is a great opportunity and just nerd out about plants and goth things, weird things. So thank you.
Yes, I love it. So Chloe, let's get started. And I just wanted to just deep dive right in and find out when you started to have this love for the dark, things of that nature. Has it always been something that you've been drawn to, or just share that?
Yeah. So pretty much from birth, my parents joked that I looked like a demon when I came out. Like I had jet black eyes and hair, and they're like, "What is this?" But yeah, as I got older and even as a child, always very drawn to the dark aesthetic of things. Like I love Gothic architecture. I really got into goth music. My favorite show, and not even the movies, but the show was the Addams Family, like the black and white version. Then the movies came out, everything like that. So I've always been drawn to darkness. For anyone that's into astrology, I have 6 Scorpio placements in my birth chart. So that could also
Wow.
probably explain a few things. So yeah, it's just been a thing for me. It was never a phase.
That's amazing. And then what about the journey of plants? How did that kind of blend into that Gothic world that you had found yourself in?
Yeah. So my parents, I'm so lucky. They were always very creative and just let me do whatever I wanted, hobby wise, aesthetic wise. But one hobby that stuck with me the most was gardening. So as soon as I could walk, my mom was like, child labor, let's go. But I liked it. I loved gardening so much with her. And she taught me so much about the different plants. If I had a bad day at school, it was like an escape, just go into the garden, look at the flowers kind of thing. And really, from there, the hobbies come and go as you get older. But I always wanted a garden of my own. And, even in college, when you're busy partying and stuff, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have my own garden one day. And then now we're here.
I love this. How big is your garden that you care for?
It is surprisingly small. I think because of the brand story that I've kind of established. Everyone thinks I live in a big castle or something, but it's very, very small. I have a small backyard, very small front yard. People come and they're sometimes surprised, like, oh, that's it. I'm like, it is. There it is. But for reference, I live in a semi-detached bungalow, so small house. The backyards are very close together, lots of fences going on. But I found a way to make it still feel gothic and kind of mystical, despite houses being really close by.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something to be said for viewers that are just learning, who you are, because it's true. Like I've been following you for a long, long time, and your content and garden really evokes emotion. And I think that's what's made you so popular, right? Because it's not just like, oh, here's this beautiful garden, which it is extremely beautiful, but there's this way that with editing and your aesthetic that makes this emotion, evoked, whether good or bad. There's crazy people on the internet, and sometimes I read comments that people write to you, and I'm like, oh my, like you're the spawn of Satan or something. It's just
Yes.
insane. And it's like, there is this incredibly cool culture of, goth, and it's been, years, hundreds of years of punk and goth that, that we can talk about. And so with that, you also are a historian of this of the architecture and the way of life of like the goth community, correct?
Say maybe a historian. There's a lots of things to learn and as we get older and stuff, but I'm very, very passionate about it. Goth community in general is very music-based subculture, but alongside of those things come with the darker aesthetics of things. So church cathedrals, cemeteries, all black, those are kind of all things that tie in together. And when you look at different stories and the histories of different locations or what they did back way back in like 100 years ago, what they did in medicine and like the plants they used then, it's very fascinating and it's very macabre. And I think that's why I'm so interested in it because it's just like, why would you think of that? It has such a dark, ominous feeling to it, but that's what they did back then. And it's still very fascinating to me. Just continuing to learn about these kind of things.
Yeah. Well, and then you go and talk about plants, and it's like, here's a whole nother rabbit hole of learning and how do you grow in your growing zone and,
Mhm.
in a cooler climate, but still have lush plants and have the turnaround, when it changes seasons to have something else growing there. You've done a beautiful job at doing that.
Thank you.
Where did you start learning about gardening really? Because it's more than houseplants, because you have a garden outside. How did you had said that with your mother, but was there something that, you had learned after that to, like, be able to curate as probably what I'm more trying to say is, like, how did you learn to, like, curate your garden and not just plants?
Yeah. So a lot of mistakes, a lot of failures. When I first bought my house, like I never knew goth gardening existed. I didn't know black flowers were a thing. It was just something that was in my head. I'm like, I would love to have a dark garden, but I'm not sure if it's possible. So it was like a year into us living in this house. One of my friends, she has a nursery in town, Ramsey Creek. I went to high school with her. I did her branding. It's just like, I have these black petunias, like, come get them because she knew me for what I am.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's when, like, the whole world opened up to me because before it was just moonflowers because I knew moon gardens were a thing. Darkness wasn't sure, but as that when that moment happened, I'm like, this is actually possible. I can actually grow these things. And now it's my goal in life to have every single dark plant I can come across. Like that is my
yeah.
mission now. So
Yeah,
it's
because
more
there
like
are some, like,
go ahead.
well, there are dark alocasias and begonias, like, there's so many cool plants that have darkness, but what were you gonna say, my love? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like, it's so different when you're, like, doing a hobby with your parents as a kid, and then when you get into an adult years and you're doing things on your own, you're, like, learning these new things too, so, because I was with my mom the whole time when I was a kid, her purchases were brighter and colorful, so I never knew those things existed outside of that world until I did my own kind of snooping around and nursery prowling.
Yeah, and then, the ability to buy things online, I'm sure that you've shopped online. Talking about nerding out and shopping plants, you recently were at PlantCon, which is super awesome. You were there also to share about your book. How was that your first PlantCon?
It was, and it was so overwhelming in the best way possible. It was the most wonderful experience, like thousands of plants that I've just never knew existed. Like I would say I'm pretty good at plants, but there are some rare plants there. I was just like, oh my God, like how can
Yeah.
I leave not bringing anything home? This is impossible, but it was
What did
sad.
you bring home?
I couldn't bring home anything. I brought home knickknacks because that's the only thing I could
Yeah,
bring back to Canada.
because yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it
Dagger,
sucked.
but
It really sucked.
my gosh, I would have been like, "Can we at least send these? What about mailing them?"
Mhm,
Yeah,
yeah.
because 'cause I'm sure did you see some dark plants?
So many. I made a whole video
Yeah,
on, like, all the dark plants I found, hundreds. Some of
that's
them didn't even make
awesome.
it into the video. I'll have to do, like, another one.
Yeah,
There's another plant con coming up in Houston, I believe, and Seattle, so, I don't know, maybe I'll have to go back and take more.
yeah, yeah, for sure, and Atlanta in December.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to go, even though I told my husband, "No more plant shows this year, none."
This
But
one's worth going to, like, it is
I know.
so well run.
Yeah, yeah, went to PlantCon was my first plant show ever, and that was in Orlando.
Mm.
And so now I've been to like 5 since then. But yeah, I'm like, I need to go home back to PlantCon because just to see all my it is so well done. I actually chatted with Sam, the social media manager, earlier this morning, which was a fun conversation. And it's just cute because she came on right after Orlando. So,
Uh,
but they're such a tight knit family, such a
yeah.
cool group. Yeah,
Yeah, and everyone just loves it. Like, they love plants, so it's the excitement and just being able to connect with other people and seeing their aesthetics or their collection. Like, it's a very I don't know, you get the warm and fuzzies from the whole
yeah, for
thing.
sure, for sure. All right, let me just check this. This is an interesting question. I don't know if you had an answer after looking, but how do you balance beauty and mystery while you're content creating?
That's a good question. So, balance for me, you do for a lot of darkness, you do need a little bit of light. I made the mistake when I first started my goth garden, just piling and cramming all the darkness in together. And then when I step back, I'm like, you can't see anything. Like, you can't see the individual beauty of everything. So, what I've done, I've kind of came up with the zigzag method. So, for every black or dark plant that I have, it's paired with a green, a silver to break it up. And then that way,
Yeah,
when you look back at the garden, you're like, wow, you can see each individual plant and its beauty. And
I
then
love that.
sprinkling in decor. Like, I'm a big fan of, the classic statues. I have an angel statue. I have a big David head planter in my garden. Those really break everything up too. And I think with that kind of atmosphere, it has that more mystery, more maximalist feel. Victorians also did that with their gardens. It was very full and like just grand.
Yeah, yeah. At times as a content creator, you kind of get stuck, and there's days and weeks sometimes that go by that you're like, What
Mhm.
what do you do to get out of that? Like, what inspires you? What kind of rituals or things that you like to do to re-encourage that spark of imagination, creativity?
Yeah, I this is gonna be hilarious, but it's the threat of winter coming. We only have like 4, sometimes 3 months of summer here, so I have no choice but to compile and take photos of everything because winter is gonna be here for 6 months, like so
Yeah,
even if I'm not feeling inspired or I'm just like, "Ugh, I don't wanna garden," I'll still go out and spend time in it. I'll take a close up of a petunia, just
yeah,
something. And then maybe I won't make a video right then and there, but just having like a stockpile of footage and photos to use later when I do feel more
yeah,
inspired. Yeah.
yeah. That's you bring up a good point. Do you have a lot more perennials than annuals in your garden? And like, what comes back, and what do you go back in and have to redo each
Yeah.
season?
I'm a bit of a lazy gardener. So it's a lot of perennials and I cram a lot of Can I swear on this podcast?
Yes, you can. You
I
can.
cram a lot of shit in my garden. So it has weed control and then like my begonias, my petunias, the pomias, those are like the ones I repurchase every single year and put them in as like a little ground cover. But for the most part, it's all perennial, which is surprising for a lot of people because they think I live in a
Yeah.
tropical climate. And no, I'm just a little bit lazy.
Yeah, so where exactly are
So I'm in Carleton Place, Ontario, so zone
okay.
5A, which means crazy long winters that are very brutal, minus 40 degrees Celsius for at least 2 months, and then a very short period of summer. And this year, everything was super late. Just spring didn't start until end of May, and normally it starts at the beginning
Wow.
of May, so it was rough this year. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's Canada for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in the other Canada, Wisconsin.
I
So
love
I
Wisconsin.
yeah, I the cold, it's so cold. I remember, like, going up to the bus stop and, like, literally breaking my hair because it was wet, getting out of the shower and
Mhm.
running to the bus and just standing there because it was just so frozen.
Yeah. Or when,
Yeah,
like, your eyelashes start to freeze and because 'cause you're tearing up because it's so cold and it hurts. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. You are living and gardening in your hometown that you grew up in.
Yeah. Yeah.
What so what
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so what your friends and family are thinking about this blow up of interest of your content and your book? What is the buzz around town?
Around town, it's so interesting, like my friends and family, they're very supportive. They've always, they never bat an eye at my weirdness. If someone collected some bones from a field for me and they're like, here you go, like clean them up. Everyone kind of leans into it. And then around town, like you have some like mixed people, I have a fan mail, people telling me to come to Christ because of my garden. But then other times, there's people that recognize me and they're like, "Oh my god, you're at the Goth Garden," and then we just have like a
Little
ding
Kiki.
ding. Yeah, we're engaged with each other, and it's really nice. I think this gardening community is just full of nice people. Obviously there's some bad in every community, but everyone is just loving it. So, and the nurseries love it too. We just had a Goth Garden Day in May with two of my favorite ones. So many people came. It was great for the town. It's just people drove even 3 hours just to get to it. It was incredible. So it's really nice.
It's so cool. I love that. I think it's really special too that like people who might not understand the goth community can lean in as a plant person and be like, yeah, like look at this like kick-ass garden that Chloe has, you know? And to learn that like you're so sweet and nice and goth people are not just angry and hateful to people, you know. It's really cool. I just went to a goth market in Orlando not too long ago. It was super fun. And I as well really leaned into it, had black lipstick, blacked out
Yeah.
eyes. It was so
Love
much
it.
fun. And it was so interesting. Like the art is just I love like taxidermy art, especially when it's done ethically. I have a raccoon skull over our bed.
Yeah, it's weird and you're like, you know it's weird, but you're also like intrigued by it, It's
Yeah.
like a morbid curiosity.
Yeah, like and do you collect, like, oddities and things like that as part of your decor?
Definitely. I have a couple taxidermied birds. There's one corner in my office that has Edgar. He's a raven that came from the Ukraine. He's beautiful. I have bones everywhere. Kitchen. I'm looking at my shelf over here. There's bones there. In our bedroom, we have a big bowl. In my bedroom, it's just everywhere, and people love it. They're like, "Is that real?" I'm like, "It is."
It's so cool. I love that. What are some of your favorite hardy plants when you're creating your dark aesthetic? Are there
Hmm.
some hardy plants that you love to use because they are so hardy?
Yeah, I actually have like an Excel sheet of all my plants in my garden, and I looked at it today. So some of my favorite, just off the top of my head, sedums are my absolute favorite. They come in so many different dark colors and shades, and they're so easy to grow. They're drought tolerant. You could just pretty much forget about them and they'll thrive. So that's one of my favorites. Lilies, I've been really, really fond of daylilies. There's again so many different colors that you can find. And again, drought tolerant. Most of my garden is full sun, so it's important that I have a lot of full sun plants. Hibiscus too, cookies and cream and midnight marvel. Very, very dark foliage, big dinner plate size blooms. Very
Wow.
beautiful, very easy to take care of. And what else can I say? Black mondo grass. That one's surprisingly pretty easy to take care of as well. People think it's more tropical climate. It's very slow growing here, but it is such a staple in my garden. Like to have it at the very front when you walk in is so beautiful, beautiful. And it does very well here, surprisingly.
That's awesome. What about fertilizing and amending your garden soil? Are there some of your favorite practices that you like to do with that?
Yeah. So I fertilize maybe like twice a year, once in spring and then one kind of near the fall. And I use Marfil. It's a phytoplankton fertilizer. They're in BC. They're awesome. You basically just pour it into your big watering can. It smells like eggs. That's how you know it works really good. But
I
it's
love
it's
it.
wonderful for like vegetables, normal garden house plants. So I use that the most. And then right now I'm dealing with some beetles eating some of my plants right now, so it's the soapy water and just hosing it every single day to get rid of them. But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I'll add in compost as well. if we have coffee grounds or, eggshells, I'll crunch them up and throw them in, just be like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, as an amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like a composter
I ha no, I just have like a spot behind my shed where I just throw everything in and call it a day.
and just mix it up? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What about any edibles? Like, do you have a vegetable garden at all that you
Yeah.
grow?
So this one's a new addition. So I started it 2 years ago, and I've been growing black string beans every year. They're so easy. Black cherry tomatoes, black bell peppers. This year I'm trying dark purple carrots. We'll see how they go. Dark purple basil.
Black
I
basil.
struggle with seeds, I'm not gonna lie, I really struggle starting from seed. I think it's a science that I just have not handled yet, but so far so good. Everything is looking somewhat healthy right now.
Chloe, you said a black basil?
Yes, it's called dark opal basil. It is beautiful. It's a very dark, dark purple. I'll pull up a photo. I just did a chop the other day because I wanted to make it for dinner, but look at how stunning that is.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
and I
When it
love the smell of
flowers
it.
are the flowers dark as well?
Yep,
Yeah?
yep,
Oh my god,
yep,
that's so cool.
beautiful, and there's, like, a little bit of green on some of them, but it's just stunning. It smells so good. I just wish I could have a basil room spray. It's very
Yeah,
fragrant.
that's so cool. I love that because there are also so many dark vegetables, like you said,
Mhm,
black tomatoes, and it's so cool. Peppers, black really dark peppers.
yeah, and hot peppers too. I had those one year, and they were freaking hot.
Yeah? Do you like hot peppers?
My spice tolerance has gone up. My husband was very into spicy food, so I've been putting it into my diet. It's like my tolerance is going up and his is going down, so we're, like, meeting in the middle now.
That's Is your husband Gothic as well?
He does not look like it. It's like the typical black cat, golden retriever couple. He's also a Scorpio. We're born 2 weeks apart, but
Wow.
he's tatted. He's very into the goth kind of alternative aesthetic as well, but he on the outside, he's just like this blonde dude who just, comes along for the ride kind of thing. Like, "Oh, okay, we're going to the antique store again." And he likes it because he gets to look at Hot Wheels and fun
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that's amazing. How did you 2 meet?
So this is so funny. We told this at our wedding, but we met, oh my gosh, like 12 years ago, maybe longer than that. Oh my God, where's the time gone? Anyways, I had gotten out of a relationship and it was 3 years. It wasn't that great. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have my hoe phase. I'm going to go on Tinder and I'm just going to be a hoe. I matched with Jason, my husband, and he was my first and only Tinder date. And I got married.
So
So
sweet.
we met on Tinder basically, but it was just, we grew up. Went to the same high school in town, and like we just never crossed paths until this moment. And yeah, now we're here.
Wow, that's so cool. Did you have dark botanicals in your wedding?
I did. So we had a lot of like dark burgundy. To be honest, I really wanted to elope. Like weddings were not my thing. His family wanted it more than me, but I had my dark florals and centerpieces on there, and yeah. But I would have loved like a Vegas wedding, get married by Elvis kind of thing, and then like have a fun trip. But maybe we'll do that for like our 15-year anniversary or something.
Yeah. So when did your love for creating content begin?
Yeah.
Was that as you like started developing your garden and you're like, wow, I want to take pictures of this? Like, how did that journey unfold?
Yeah. So professionally, I'm a graphic designer and brand director. So branding for me, I love it. I love branding everything. I freelance on the side as well, doing brands for alternative Gothic businesses. So it had been like a couple years of me, sorry to go back and forth, but it had been a couple
Yeah.
of years of me having my goth garden and me tormenting my family and friends with photos. And I'm like, ugh, I should just make an account. Just, and then if they want to follow it, they can. I won't bother them anymore. So I started it in 2018 and then I didn't open my Instagram account until 2023. So it had been a couple years in the making. And because I'm a graphic designer and I love branding, I was stockpiling photos and videos.
Yeah.
And then when I opened my account, I'm like, let's just do a show off video of what I have in my garden, not expecting anything at all. Like I was expecting maybe like just family and friends following if they wanted to. And it just blew up. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I was not expecting this. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I'm here talking to people like you. And like I blinked and something happened. I don't know. It's very surreal.
Yeah. I think this is a beautiful segue into darkness and bloom. And what a beautiful way that you had said of being a graphic designer and being able to curate such a beautiful Instagram and account. And now being an author of this book. Tell us what people can find in Darkness and Bloom.
It is basically a guide on all dark florals and plants. The first part of the book is kind of explaining the history and my background, basically what I've told you and how it came to be. And then I talk about the different tips and tricks on how to balance that light and dark. And then I get into a very extensive list of perennials, annuals, houseplants, and then decor. Basically, the goal of this book, I understand that not everyone has a lot of space. I don't have a lot of space. And some people live in apartments, some people have acres of property. So I wanted to make sure that everyone in this book could get something from it. Even if they live in extremely cold climates like zone 2, for example, or zone 11. I wanted to make sure everyone had options, even if they can't grow anything successfully. Play with decor because not only is a goth garden just plants, but it's the architectural touches you can add to it as well. So hopefully, I hope people get inspired by it or just be on the lookout for these kind of things and just like, oh, okay, let's add that. I could thrift that, no problem. So I wanted it to feel very well rounded.
Yeah. Well, I think the beautiful thing about gardening too is like it's so general, right? Like you don't have to be gothic to have a part of your garden, like a little slice of your home with these beautiful dark blooms, because there are so many that you can create a really moody feel. So I think that's also really, really cool. The book is so beautiful. I cannot stop looking at the
Thank
cover.
you.
What was the journey like creating this book?
Yeah. So I actually gave up control on the design for this project. My publisher has a fantastic team of graphic designers. And, I did, when I did the proposal, I designed a couple spreads just to give them my idea of kind of the vibe that I liked. I sent them my whole brand package of logos, fonts, anything else that goes along with it. And they did a fantastic job. They kept it. They used like my iconic frames that I add on some reels and stuff. I wanted it to look very visually beautiful on like a shelf on a coffee table, but also full of information. So, I worked with the graphic designers. They truly made my vision come to life. They did a great job. And even with like the writing process too, I wrote the book in under a year. And they have so many specialists as well that know their stuff, they know their plants, and they contributed as well. So it was a great process. It's been a long one, but it's been a great one.
Yeah. When did you decide like, "Hey, I want to write a book?" What was there a moment that you kind of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do next?
Yeah. I mean, I have a bit of imposter syndrome, like you never think these things would happen. I always wanted maybe a copy book for myself and a few family and friends. I'd go on one of those websites where you just upload your images kind of thing. And then, you know, back in 2024, I had people reaching out and like, would you consider actually doing this? And I'm like, oh my God, I guess and I did it, and it doesn't feel real, like it hasn't hit me yet even though I have the book in my hands. Like it doesn't feel real, and I think that's my imposter syndrome, and I think a lot of people have that. But yeah, it was just a natural thing to happen. It wasn't just like I'm going to make a book one day. It's like it would be nice to have a book someday.
Yeah. I love the part of the story of like creating those, mail and coffee table books, like you said, with the photos. And that really is like the evolution of birthing something like the book that you created. It's so beautiful. I love that so much.
You
Chloe,
can never go wrong with gold foil. Like, that's just my rule of
right?
thumb for everything.
What do you think is next for you? What where would you like to see yourself? I know this is such a cheesy question, but like where would you like to see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Oh my gosh. It's crazy to think about, obviously I want a bigger house. I want a bigger property. I don't think the Goth Garden will ever be a business. It is just purely for fun. I think once you make it a business, that's when it doesn't get fun.
Right.
But I just want to keep expanding. We're thinking about buying my father-in-law's house. He has an acre of property, blank slate. So it'd be nice to have an acre of garden for people to come and like just go through it and experience it for themselves. Because right now that's not doable with how this
Right.
layout is set up at this current house. So I think that's really just grow the garden and just welcome people to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Has anyone ever commissioned you to like come and build out a Gothic garden?
No, no, that would be cool. People say like, "Why don't you do this full time? Like, why don't you make some money from it?" And I'm like, also, our seasons are like super short. So, like
Yeah, yeah.
it would be cool if I would absolutely love to help anyone in town or in the area in general just to start their goth garden. And that's kind of why I did that goth garden day in Carlton Place.
Yeah.
So everyone could have access and bring home something that they can is kind of start and look out for in the future.
Yeah, and that was a great event, right? Like, it
Hmm.
was well received, people and that's what have you been finding that it's kind of trending, goth gardening and dark plants? And what do you think is causing that trend to become popularized?
Yeah, I think what's happening is that people are realizing that you can make your home, your garden, whatever you want it to be. I've seen all pink themed gardens and it looks like a Barbie dream house kind of thing. So I think, the more people are getting and finding new hobbies, they can find their own personality in it. And I think that's what people are drawn to. And, it's just like an extra layer of goth to this
Yeah.
community where, oh, I can actually do more as well. I can bring my vibe from inside my house to out. I can bring it on my balcony. And it's so fascinating to see like even older people who have been gardening for 50 years, they're interested in it too because it's fun, it's new, it's unique. You don't see these dark plants a whole lot. So that's why it's kind of exciting. It's like intriguing to some people and it's becoming a trend and I'm so happy. Like I want to see more goth gardens everywhere. I think it's fabulous.
And that's why I asked you because I could totally see and let me speak this into existence. I mean, I could totally see you curating, like you said, an acre, whatever, two acres of like just beautiful gothic foliage because there are hundreds and hundreds of dark plants. And the way that you beautifully take those undertones of like the greens and silvers, like you said, to
Hmm.
make those dark gothic plants pop out is such a cool thing. Is there a chapter of the book that you are super excited about personally?
I don't know how many people are gonna read it, but I think the upfront story of starting the goth garden, I get pretty vulnerable about it. I did cry, and I'm like, "No, I'm supposed to be like the goth baddie who doesn't cry." But it's so special to me. I think a lot of gardeners and plant people kind of resonate with it because it's so therapeutic. It gives you a chance to like literally ground yourself, like touch grass, like when everything else is going on in the world and it just feels like everything's crashing down, your garden is there. Put your
Yeah.
hands in dirt. And I think, even though it's such a small portion of that book, I just hope someone reads that and kind of feels like they have other options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why I love doing this podcast and hearing the plant influencers that we love, they're genuine true stories of what caused them to start gardening or how meaningful gardening means to them. For you, do you feel like your gardening helps with your mental health?
Definitely. I'm currently dealing with high functioning depression, which is like, that's like probably the best one you can have, right? I said that to my doctor and she was like, sure, yeah. So, I have heavy days. Everyone has heavy days. So going outside, I don't care if it's pouring rain, I will be outside. And I've
Yeah.
been looking at these flowers, and it just completely takes my mind off of everything, even just for an hour, and it just feels so good. You come back inside, you're like, "Oh, thank God." Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's so good for your mental health. So good.
Yeah, it's such a healing practice, you know? I often say, like, when I've found plants through grief, as I was caring for them, they were totally caring for me, and it
Yeah,
was such a lifeline to feel alive in the, like, darkest moments, no
yeah.
pun intended, but in the darkest moments of life. Do you have a piece of content that you've created that you were surprised went viral?
Ooh. So obviously the first video that I ever posted, fresh account, that one took me by surprise. I was like, what the heck? But the other ones are sometimes the most low effort videos I will ever freaking do. TMI, like some of the videos I do on the toilet, those ones do well. And I'm like, okay, sure. I don't know what got picked up in the algorithm, but sure, that's make this lily just be viral. Like it's just I don't know what the science or the algorithm is like. It's just, okay, here you go.
Yeah. What is, like, the most touching story that you've encountered being a creator, a content creator, that a follower or someone that's reached out, is there, like, a particular story that is very meaningful to you?
Yeah, all of them, they just warm my heart, but the ones that really get me are the grief ones. I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh, my mom used to garden and, now I've taken it over for her and like find your account, like I have like a new sense of purpose and I feel like I'm honoring the person that passed away and or I'm dealing with depression as well and because of that, your content has inspired me to do more." And it's everyone has been so vulnerable and I'm so thankful that they have been able to do that and felt that I was a safe person to do that for. So I just, it makes me very emotional. I get a
Yeah.
lot of sweet messages and I'm just so appreciative. It's amazing.
Did you ever imagine that plants would bring this kind of community into your life?
No, never, never
Yeah.
in a million years, because when you're just starting on your own too, you don't know what kind of community is out there. So when you see so many people and so many different ages and demographics come together, it's so refreshing. It's just
Yeah.
lovely.
When does your book come out?
So in North America, it comes out September 1st, and then in the UK, Europe, September 24th. And then I think for the rest of the world, it's coming out later. There's like some translation that needs to happen. But yeah, so September is the big month.
So y'all heard that, right? A global Gothic gardener author, which is insane. So, so cool. I love that it's coming out all over the world.
It's insane. Like I said, it does not feel real. I'm like, it's not happening. No, it's all a dream.
What piece of advice would you give to your younger self? And now all that you know now, what advice would you give to your 8-year-old, 10-year-old self?
I would probably tell her that it's okay to fail. You have to, you won't be able to grow everything. You won't be able to, some things die, some things come back. Take those as a learning opportunity and just be grateful for those things. And then just be yourself. Like, if you're weird and everyone says you're weird, like, just continue being weird. Like, your interests are special for a reason. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're gonna be cool eventually. You're just ahead of the game. People will catch up.
Yeah, I love that because it's so true. Especially if I say queerdos as a queer person, I too like agree that people will catch up.
Mhm.
Just continue. You want to wear black lipstick and black out your eyes and dye your hair black. Continue being you. All sorts itself out. And
Exactly.
you can be an author of a book that will be published globally, which is so cool.
Whoa, did you see that ghost float up?
Yes, I did.
Oh my.
I oh, that was so cool.
So when you were gone, when you were switching your internet, I have a video. I'll send it to you after we're done. It's really creepy, but I caught it on camera and I took a video. It's very strange.
Has it It's obviously happened before.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
have a lot of oddities and antiques in our house, which probably draw in a lot of energy, so our house is it's haunted. It is definitely haunted. It's amazing how energy has such, like, an effect in a room. You know, when you walk into a room after an argument, like, nobody will be in it, but the air is, like, heavy, like, it is so strange.
Do you practice tarot or, like, use, like, oracle cards and things?
I do, I do. So I have my golden tarot deck that I use when needed. But yeah, I have a lot of occult things. I do some practices as well that I just don't post on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's fun.
You don't
I
need
love the
any more death threats.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh my God. It's just
Yeah,
oracle cards, I promise. Like, I'm fine.
exactly. Well, Chloe, thank you so much, my love. This was so fun.
Thank you.
I'm
I
I'm so
love being
excited.
here.
I do wanted to ask you one last question about, like, is there a book tour or will be there any events as your book gets published?
There will be a book tour, so dates and locations are going to be announced later. But yes, we'll be going on tour.
And then where can everyone find the information for social and your website?
Yeah, to pre-order the book or just in general?
Both,
Okay.
actually.
So I'm on Instagram. It's the Goth Garden, and the O is a zero, kind of like the MySpace days. That's what I wanted. Same with TikTok, Facebook now as well. And then I have a website. You can pre-order the book on there. It's called hergothgarden.com. You can pre-order on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes& and Noble, anywhere basically. Even some niche bookstores in towns and stuff. So yeah, everything will be all there.
So exciting. I'm so excited to see how this book is received in the plant community. I know that people adore you, so they are going to adore this book as well. And again, thank you so much, Chloe, for coming on to the Plants by Wadley podcast.
Thank you for having me. Until the next time.
Until the next time, bye, my love.
Bye.